Welcome back to America Right Now. I'm Tom Basile. We end, as we always do, with our Patriot of the Week segment. But this week, it's Patriots of the Week, all 1.8 million of them. Monday, August 7th, is National Purple Heart Day, the day every year that we remember and pay tribute to those who earned a military distinction that can trace its way all the way back to George Washington, the Purple Heart. Here to tell his story and to represent all of those who bear the scars of war and those who never made it home, two-time Purple Heart recipient, United States Marine and Vietnam veteran, also board member of the National Purple Heart Honor Mission. We welcome Dan Clarino to America Right Now. Dan, good to see you. As we get ready for this National Purple Heart Day, tell us a little bit about your story. How were you wounded, sir?
Well, I was 19 years old when I joined the Marine Corps, and shortly thereafter, 6 months later, I was in Vietnam in 1966. I served with the 2nd Battalion, 1st Marines, and spent a good part of the time up on the DMZ. On the 24th of July, I was hit by shrapnel between the eyes. I was pretty fortunate because it did not hit my eyes, but certainly caused some damage. But within a month thereafter, a sniper decided to use me as a target, and I was wounded with a gunshot wound, hit me just below my navel and exited cleanly through my back. I was very fortunate not to be paralyzed. It's a fair amount of damage, but I'm very fortunate, and I try to be cognizant every day of how fortunate I am to have been able to survive that. It's been a long time, but
Dan,
in my memory.
And Dan, National Purple Heart Day was created by President Ronald Reagan. When August 7th comes around every year, other than your own experience, are there friends, are there fellow Marines, are there folks that you think about as the nation honors those who gave so much, like you, for our country?
Well, for sure. I had lots of friends who I served with, some of whom did not come back. And I share that story with so many of my brothers and sisters who have had the same experience. I can mention one in passing, that Michael Cunyon, who is from Mount Vernon, right here in New York, who on one given day in the summer of '66, we both were directed to get on 2 helicopters to help get out some Marines that were in harm's way. And we ran side by side. He went left, I went right. He got into a helicopter that was shot down a minute later. So I think about Mike all the time, and he's only one of many that I hold close to my heart and remember vividly.
You're part of an organization that honors our Purple Heart heroes. Faith in our military, Dan, and military recruitment is down to its lowest levels in more than a quarter of a century. Do you believe that telling the stories of the men and the women who earn the Purple Heart can really help reverse that trend?
I hope so, because I read what you read, that recruiting is at an all-time low. The military has not been a favorable alternative for many people. You know, in my time, or at least when I was younger, there was a military draft that was very active. And so many of the soldiers and Marines that served back then did so because they were drafted into service. I just read recently that out of the 58,000 names that are memorialized on the Vietnam Wall, over 17,000 of those individuals, men and women, were draftees that served their country because their country asked them to do so, left the comfort of their own country, the sanctity of their own homes, and went to fight and ultimately died or shed blood on foreign soil. So I do recognize that the military is struggling a bit. It's a good alternative for some, and I hope that that turns around.
Dan, we've been looking at some photos of you and your organization, which is getting ready to host what they call the Purple Heart Patriot Project in September, where honorees are selected to represent each state to come to New York for a special tribute. Can you just give us a few seconds of what that's going to look like, what that's going to be about?
Absolutely. We're looking forward to it. This is our third mission Patriots project. We reach out to every state, and we are honored to have an individual who represent the states here between the 19th and the 21st of September. We have people coming from as far this year as Alaska and Hawaii. The ages range from 37 to 100. Both genders are being represented, and all the branches are. And in the 4 days that they're with us, we take them to their Hall of Honor here in New Windsor. We take them to Washington's headquarters, where the first Purple Heart was given by George Washington to three soldiers back then. We take them to West Point. We take them to New York, where we visit the 9/11 memorial.
Yeah.
We're honored this year to have, if you have a moment, we're honored this year to have three people that I want to just mention, if I can, very quickly. Robert Sender, he's coming from North Carolina. He's a two-time Purple Heart recipient, World War II European theater.
Wow.
James Farrell, Marine, World War II, coming in with us, and he fought in the Battle of Hiroshima. And another person I'd like to mention is George Staphylopoulos, Navy corpsman, which is a medic. He worked on the Marines in the field, saving lives and mending them. And during his course of duty, he received 4 Purple Hearts.
Wow.
So we're very much looking forward. We're all looking forward to meeting these gentlemen.
Well, that's
having a chance to meet.
an incredible display of service and sacrifice. Well, Dan Clarino, we're going to have to leave it there, but you and all of our Purple Heart recipients from across the generations are our Patriots of the Week. All gave some, and some gave all. Thank you for your service and for joining us today, sir.
I'm honored to be here, Tom. Thank you so much.